Hey there, Pathless Peddlers. A couple weeks ago, we picked up a Canon G5X to use as a vlogging camera for our YouTube channel. The G5X is kind of the bigger brother to the very popular Canon G7X. And so far, I've been really impressed with what you can do with such a compact camera. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what I think are the best settings to get the most out of this powerful compact camera. So the Canon G5X is a 1-inch sensor compact camera, but you can actually get pretty good cinematic results from it. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to define cinematic as having kind of natural motion blur. So shooting at 24 frames per second and also having a slightly wider dynamic range than you're used to when you think of a compact digital camera like this one. So let's jump into the menu system and I'll show you what settings we use. So first off, one of the things that we do is we always shoot in shutter priority mode. So that's the little TV icon right there. And when we're in shutter priority mode, we always leave the shutter on at 1/50th of a second since our frame rate is going to be 24p. Next thing we do is lock in the frames per second. And what we like to use is the 23.98 frames per second. And if you're familiar with the 180-degree shutter rule, then you know why our shutter speed is 1/50th and the frame rate that we use is 24p. The next thing we do is turn the ND filter to auto. What this does, it'll add the ND filter when you're out in bright sunlight so you can maintain that 1/50th of a second shutter speed. Another setting that we use is auto ISO. Since the camera is locked into a set shutter speed, the camera has two options to kind of adjust exposure, and that's via the aperture and also the ISO. By selecting auto ISO, the camera can automatically adjust the exposure level to compensate. And lastly, one really important thing to do is to set custom color. Out of the box, the color in the camera is overly saturated and the look is really sharpened. So go into the colors, activate the sliders, and what we like to do is dial down the contrast. We leave the skin tone blue, green, red alone, but dial down the saturation and dial down the sharpness. What this does is that it gives you as flat an image as possible so you can add those things in post-production and they're not baked into the footage. This will avoid that typical oversaturated and over-sharpened look that you get from compact cameras. And lastly, when we shoot slow motion, what I like to do is set a custom setting. What we do is we change the frames per second to 59.94, or effectively 60 frames per second. And we change the shutter speed here to 1/25th, maintaining that 180-degree shutter angle rule. When I want to shoot video that I know I want to slow down to slow motion, I switch it over to my custom setting, which is C and TV, so that means it's shutter priority. And I adjust the shutter to 1/25th to match the frame speed of 60 frames per second. So this allows me to shoot video, then bring it into a 24 frame per second timeline and slow it down to get those silky smooth slow motion shots. So that's it for our look at the settings that we use on the Canon G5X. If you guys have any specific questions, leave those in the comments below. We'll be sure to answer those. And if you liked the video and found it useful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.